So I went on this very ambitious journey of trying to make a dress for my graduation from scratch with basically no knowledge on how to sew a dress. I had one attempt that was a fail, and I was trying to make that dress for the teaser video I did for my LA Noir series on YouTube channel. Go and check that out if you are interested. Tell me if you want that video of that fail. But my plan is to make a dress for my graduation, decorate my graduation cap, flip a jacket, a jean jacket that I got from my brother to accompany my dress. This video is about the dress. So a couple of months ago, I went on this absolute binge on Etsy and I got a whole bunch of dress patterns, clothing patterns. I decided that I want to use this pattern for my graduation dress. The thing about it is that at first I had the wrong dress pattern for my dress. Then when I thought I had the right dress size pattern, I realized that the dress size was a dress size UK instead of a dress size US. So dress size 20 in UK is a dress size 16 in the US. I could have made it work, but I didn't have time to try and resize the pattern, so I just went to Hobby Lobby and me and my mom went through the catalog they had and I picked a dress. I got home and I got to work. I cut out the cutouts and I cut the fabric. The next day I got to work sewing. I hit one huge major roadblock. Each time I tried to sew together a cup for the dress, I ended up sewing the right cup over and over and over again. I was so frustrated that I didn't record any of it. I woke up the next morning and I didn't have much fabric left, so I was like, this is do or die. I made sure that I finally got a left and a right cup together. So my mom bought me a serger to make this dress, and I am unbelievably grateful to her for doing that for me. So I started serging the sides together to save some time. And I started sewing the front, I started putting all the sides together, and it was coming along. I had an idea of making this little ruffle type of sleeve. So I got the lace fabric and I started doing that, and I just want to shout out to Geretto, Olay, Amy Robinson, and Charlotte Doberev because they held me down doing this. They made sure it quiet that I like videos to listen to. I thought everything was coming together, right? But the one thing that caused a huge roadblock was that I decided I wasn't going to do this thing that the original pattern had. It had like a little keyhole in the front of the dress. So I didn't want the keyhole, so I didn't cut out the keyhole. Because I didn't cut it out, I ended up with this plunging neckline, and I don't want my biddies out like that. So when I tell you, after like I realized that I had this plunging neckline, when I tell you everything went wrong, everything that could have went wrong, my tripod fell over and broke. My phone was on the tripod and that fall broke my iPhone case. So everything I was trying to do to soften the neckline was not working. So then I was like, okay, what if I put the bias tape and maybe that will help a little bit. So I put on the bias tape, to hide the raw edges, and I hated how the bias tape came out. To me, the dress was ruined because I couldn't fix the neckline. I didn't want my buddies out like that. And the bias tape I just messed up on the bias tape. So I spent all night crying, and I'm embarrassed to admit that, so I might cut this out. If I didn't, it was an oversight. Like, I was just so upset because I spent so much money on fabric. My mom literally bought me a serger for my graduation present to help me make this dress. And I felt like all this money was wasted because I cannot make this dress work. So I was highly upset. I cried so much that the next day my face was completely swollen. I woke up with my eyes red. My voice was hoarse. Nothing's that serious. Looking back on it, it was not that serious. But, it was serious at the moment. When I tell you I went through it, I went through it. I spent most of the night trying to figure out how to make this work, how to salvage this. But I also had other things to do. Like, I had school responsibilities. I had to get my hair done because if you haven't noticed through most of this video, my hair was a mess. I figured out a plan to help the neckline. I was going to cut a V into the dress, and then I was going to sew it back up. Then I fixed the bias tape. And to cover up where I had to sew up the plunging neckline, I had to use some more bias tape and I created this little bow thingy on the front. So I had to make a long and hard decision if I wanted to continue making this dress, because if I continued making the dress, I would not have time to decorate my cap, nor would I have time to make the jacket, because I spent so much time trying to get the dress to work, and I spent the first couple of days trying to get the cups to work. Once I finally got into the groove with making the dress, I hit that huge roadblock with neckline, so I had to make the decision whether to put this project away for now and wear it another time, or if I was to forget the cap and forget the jacket, because all I had was a day and a couple of hours to complete the cap and do the jacket. So I decided that this is not a fail, but I'm coming back to it. So there is no graduation dress. I had to get something from Target really quickly and use that as my dress. And part 2 is coming soon.